Before you fall in love with that waterfront dream home in Southwest Florida, we need to talk about something most agents never mention. It's not just buying the house, it's not just buying the boat. It's the cost of owning both, month after month, and making sure that they stay in good, safe working order. If this is your first time on our channel and you'd like to learn more about living down here in Southwest Florida, please click that subscribe button. My name's Chris Glazer. I'm a boat captain as well as a full-time real estate agent down here in Southwest Florida. I've lived down here for over 18 years. I love helping people make their move, so whether that's in 9 days or 90 days, please feel free to reach out. All of our contact information is in the description below. We'd be happy to make your move smooth sailing. So in today's video, we are going to break down all the real costs you can expect. Everything from insurance, lawn care, pool, dock, lift, electric, and maintenance. We're going to try to cover all of it. This video could save you thousands, so stick with me. So let's start with the first one, insurance. And that's a big one. We deal with this pretty much on a daily basis. A lot of my buyers are from up north, and they are not as familiar with flood insurance as we are down here in Florida. So one of the things you're going to have to look at when buying a home or buying a waterfront home is the biggest part is elevation. If the property is a newer build, it's going to be up to newer codes. And of course, that at the end of the day is going to bring your rates down. So if the house you're looking at is a newer house, I would say anything built past 2010 or newer, and is at a higher elevation, you're going to find that the rates are actually quite reasonable. Now, if it's an older home built, say, in the 60s, 70s, or even 80s, and it's built at a lower elevation, you're going to find that if you have to draw up a new policy, let's say a new flood policy, it could get quite expensive. Now, the one nice thing about Florida is flood policies are assumable. Not all of them. If they're backed by FEMA, they are assumable. And so if it's a legacy policy or a policy that's been around for a while, and doesn't have any claims on the house, then you might find that an assumable policy is available, and it could save you thousands. And when I say assumable, I mean flood policy. The homeowners policies are not assumable, so those would actually be written, and you would want to get an inspection done on a house, make sure that they do a 4-point and a wind mitigation. Those are the two key components or two key inspections that will help determine what your insurance rate's going to be. So number two, let's talk a little bit about boat insurance. And typically boats that are under 26 feet long, insurance down here is going to range anywhere between $400 and as much as $1,200 a year. And again, that's going to all depend on your coverage, how you're using the boat, where it's stored. There's all kinds of factors that come into play with insurance on boats in Southwest Florida. Now, when you start getting into larger vessels, anything 27 feet or longer, as well as yachts, you could see those costs rise anywhere from $1,200 up to $3,000 a year. Say a big center console or yacht, you could be looking at $3,000 to $12,000 per year. Again, all of this is going to depend on type of coverage that you're going to want on your vessel. Things like the age of the boat or vessel. Same thing with the hull type. Now, a lot of insurance companies will also require a hurricane plan. So if, for example, there's a storm that comes through and it's a named storm, they may request you to have your vessel moved to a safe place or higher ground. So let's move on to number three. Number three is utilities. And electricity down here is really not terrible. I mean, our rates are somewhat reasonable. It's a little bit different than up north where we had natural gas And so you would be looking at a lot of splits between how much you were spending on your gas bill as well as your electric bill. Down here, most everything is electric. Now, there are some gas communities in Southwest Florida, but not many of them. You will find that some folks who like using propane or have propane, say, for a generator or stove or whatever it might be, they will bury tanks anywhere from 100 gallons up to 500 gallons of propane. So that's something that you'll see on some homes down here. But as far as costs go, the cost per month on a typical home is going to be anywhere between well, it depends on the time of year and size of the house, obviously, but say a 2,000 square foot house during the wintertime, electric with a pool is probably going to be somewhere around 150 a month. During the summer and peak heating season, that could be upwards of 300 plus, 300 to 400 a month. Now, if your house has 5,000 square feet and multiple AC units, well, then you can just throw all that out the window. It could be $1,000 or more per month just for your electric bill. So keep that in mind. So number 4 is lawn care, and it's interesting because a lot of folks that I do work with are buying second homes down here, and they're used to doing all their own lawn care up north. And of course, if they're looking at a second home, they're going to need somebody to do a lot of things that they might do themselves. And lawn care happens to be one of those. Everybody, down here has a guy or a company that does lawn care for them. So there's a lot of availability, or a lot of companies out there that will provide that service. You'll see the cost on that. It's going to range on most of our lot sizes. Now, most of the canal lots are going to be a quarter of an acre or less. Some of them might be a third of an acre. Very rarely do you see anything much larger than that, but they'll charge you anywhere between $100 and $200 a month for that service. And that'll not only include them cutting the grass, but they'll trim back usually the palm trees if need be, make sure palm fronds are out of the yard. And if you've got shrubbery, they'll usually cut that stuff back and try to keep everything looking nice and tidy. So our 5th item that people don't always account for or haven't had to account for in the past is pool maintenance. Not everybody has a pool in the northern states, and down here there are a lot of pools, and so we have a lot of companies that just specialize in not only pool supplies but pool maintenance. And then there's also a lot of pool service folks or service techs that service pools. So the things that they're going to mainly take care of are the chemical balances, clean out the filters on a regular basis, brush the tiles. The costs on doing pool service it's really going to be right anywhere between $100 and $200 a month, and it's going to depend on the amount of service that your pool is going to require. Now, a lot of the new pool pumps are what they call variable speed pool pumps, and those are going to also help try to keep your electric bill down. So if you're not using the pool all the time, there are settings on these variable speed pumps to hopefully lower your electric bill a little bit. And to stay with the pool theme right now, the one big thing that people don't always think about is how are you going to heat the pool during the winter time? And a lot of folks during the summer for 6 months, 7, 8 months really, you don't have to worry about heating your pool. It's just hot enough out to keep your pool at 85 degrees or warmer all the time. But once we start getting into the cooler months, you're going to want to have a pool heater if you're going to use your pool. Otherwise, it's going to be very chilly. And the types of heaters that are out there, there's heat pumps, which are generally the most efficient means of heating your pool. It's a slower way of heating it, but it will heat them up to that 85 degree mark or warmer for you. There's also, the electric heaters, and the electric heaters are going to cost more money. It's going to definitely raise your electric bill, and you can see that jump anywhere from $100 to maybe even two, three, $400 a month, depending on how big your pool is, and then there's also people who do use propane or gas to heat their pool, and that's very expensive down here. So you don't see a lot of people using their propane to heat pools, but they will do it on occasion, and it will heat them very quick. So that's another big thing you got to think about when you have a pool is pool heat is expensive. So here we are at the sixth item that people don't always account for when buying a waterfront property, and that is the dock lift and seawall. Uh, there's a lot of this sneaks up on people. They don't always think that that's going to cost a lot of money. And again, if you do your due diligence before you buy the property, you can negotiate any repairs and things that need to be done to a lift before you actually take possession of the house. I highly recommend that, because if you don't, you may find that things like, seawall repair could be a big problem if you find that there's an issue with it. So I would, want to make sure that the seawall's inspected, and you hopefully don't have any issues there. The other thing that you find is, because we have a lot of salt and sun down here, parts just wear out. You'll find that the bunks that your boat's set on, wooden bunks are really not that expensive, but they will only last you a couple of years. So whether maybe it's only a couple $100, but you do have to take that into consideration. The cables, they do start to corrode and start to rust, and those generally want to be either replaced or serviced every 2 to 5 years, and that can cost you anywhere between $500 and $1,200. The motors that actually lift the boat in and out of the water, those you just never know. I mean, sometimes they will last for a really long time. Sometimes they wore out, 2, 3, 4 years, and those can range anywhere from $200 to $600 a piece. So the key is to work with a reputable company that does boat lifts and boat docks, and I have several that I've worked with, and I'll go ahead and put their information in the comments section in the video, so you can check those out. A couple other things: pilings eventually start to get old and start to deteriorate, and replacing them can cost anywhere between $500 and $1,500 a piece. It's just going to, again, depend on the type of boat that you have at your house. This is why I always recommend to have somebody do an inspection on the dock as well as seawall, because there's sometimes things that you just don't see at first glance. So now we're going to roll into the seventh operating costs of having a boat and home in Southwest Florida. The big one is the boat itself, and boat ownership costs everywhere is expensive. I think we all know that if you've owned a boat. So you're going to find that gas prices on the water are going to vary quite a bit. But if it's an outboard engine that's using 90 octane ethanol free fuel, you can find it. I've seen it under $4 a gallon in some places. Usually, the marina that you have your boat stored at, like we do, they'll give you a discount on the fuel. I've seen it where, if you just want to buy it from the gas station itself and put it in tanks, into portable tanks, and bringing it over to your boat, your price is going to be right around $3.50 a gallon, somewhere in that vicinity, at least in today's market. And then again, it can range all the way up to $6 a gallon. There's certain areas like around Fort Myers Beach. I swear they have a little monopoly going on gas prices right there, because everybody's around $5.50 a gallon. I go down to Bonita and I can get it for $4.39 a gallon. So, gas prices is one of those. You got to consider how much gas does a boat burn. Well, with a 250 horse engine, cruising at, at 4,000 RPMs, you could run anywhere between 10 and 20 gallons, an hour. If you're opening that boat up and running full speed ahead, that number can jump up to 30 gallons an hour when throttled up. So annual engine maintenance on boats down here for my 250 horse Yamaha, it runs on average around $500 to $600 for a 100-hour service. I've seen it range all the way up to $900 with some marinas. And again, all of them have different levels of service, so you just have to keep those keep that into consideration. And then, of course, if you have two engines, just double that. Or if you have four engines, take that times four. So I tell you what, some of these boats down here, it's just amazing how much horsepower they have on the back of them today compared to where it was 18 years ago when I moved down here. So yes, living on a waterfront property and living the boating lifestyle, it is the best lifestyle on earth in my opinion. But you do have to keep in mind that it's not free, and the real cost, understanding the real cost, is hopefully going to be helpful for you. If you like this video and you'd like to see more videos like it, please click that subscribe button. We try to get new videos out at least once a week. So keep in mind, if you buy the right house, choose the right boat, and avoid making big mistakes, you'll definitely get the most out of living the Florida lifestyle. So if you are in the market to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, I do have a survey that you can fill out. It's in the link is in the description of the video below. And I can also share with you my waterfront playbook, which is going to cover things like bridges, lift sizes, insurance pitfalls, just things that could come up when buying a waterfront property. I'd be more than happy to share that with you. So you can fill out the survey, or you can see here, I've got my information right here in the corner with my email address as well as phone number, and you can text that number as well. Again, my name's Chris Glazer, and I am a boat captain as well as a full-time real estate agent down here in Southwest Florida. Again, thank you for watching the video, and if you have any questions on anything, please put that in the comments. This is Captain Chris. We are checking out.